I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to Dingo and the Coach here on USBN Sports. I am Dingo, and that is the coach, Steve Ellis. And Steve, I'll tell you what, our next guest, I got to know him when he was coaching at Anderson High School and followed his career at Western Brown. And Nick Osborne, I'm telling you what, Steve, he's not only a great guy, but he's one hell of a coach. And it's going to be great to catch up with him. I haven't talked to him in a while, just some exchanges on text message. But Steve, he's unbelievable career so far at Western Brown.
Well, you just took the words out of my mouth. A young, successful coach. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but man, what a bright future this guy has! I can't wait to get into this and get some of his secrets.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I can't wait to even get some stories about Dryer so we can let him see this, and I'll make some cuts and
Yes,
send it to him. So,
I have plenty of Dryer stories. So from all the years we've been together,
that'll be great. So we'll definitely give. As said, we have joining us is Nick Osborne. And Nick, thanks for joining us.
no problem. I appreciate it.
I mean, it's just crazy too, you guys. Everybody, we're kind of doing this after Nick's coming running off the football field, so it's kind of how it is with the coaches here nowadays. But so Nick, you had your youth camp tonight. So talk a little bit about that. Growing up, where you grew up, did you grow up in Western Brown, and just talk a little bit about how things were when you were growing up?
Yeah. So graduated from Western Brown in 2015, and my whole family's went here. My dad, my dad was on the first undefeated team in '86, and then when Evan was the head coach here and I was a player, we went 10-0 in 2013. So it was kind of cool. Like our AD said, we're the first father-son to go on undefeated teams.
Awesome.
I mean, my whole family's went here. Uncles, our family's big sports people, and athletics is kind of what we're about. So I grew up here. And then, like you said, was an assistant Anderson. Tried to get out of my comfort zone. I think that's the biggest thing that I think some people might make the mistake of is, you have to go out and see, some stuff that you're not used to and become uncomfortable. If I didn't do that, I definitely wouldn't be in the spot I am now, back at my alma mater and leading, my alma mater as the head football coach. I would have never thought that at 13, 14, 15 years old until I got into the coaching career. So
yeah, listen to yourself. Wow. 13, 14 years old, and you're only 20-something years old, and you're the head coach or whatever. I mean, that's
turned 26.
Not that far from
Just turned 26.
Jeez, that's crazy.
So, Nick, obviously you played football, but when you're in high school, did you play any other sports at Western Brown?
Yeah, so I was actually played college baseball at UC Claremont for 2 years.
Did you? Nice.
Yep. So, and then I transferred to NKU to get my education, finish my education degree, and I wrestled for 2 years in high school, football all the way through, baseball all the way through. So, three sports, and was just always into something. And that's just kind of how I was raised. Is we're not going to sit around the house and do nothing. You're going to go outside. You're going to go, be an athlete, and enjoy it. So that's how my mom and dad raised us. Is we were never inside. Growing up, we were always outside throwing a ball, and we wanted to be outside. And three sports growing up. Played some baseball in college for 2 years, and got in the coaching field really right in college as I was playing baseball at Claremont. So
okay, well, that's awesome. What position did you play at Claremont?
Catcher.
You're a catcher.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Nicely done. I mean, they've always been successful.
Yeah, Coach Bauman does a phenomenal job. Coach Bauman recruited me out of high school, and then John Kennedy was there too, kind of the strength guy. But Coach Bauman is a genuine, just great guy. I mean, you're not going to find a better guy. I mean,
down to earth.
Down to earth. He's just real, and he's there for you. And that's the big thing. And I still get texts from Coach Bauman to this day saying, "Hey, congrats, good luck." Always liking tweeting at us. So it's kind of cool, even though that was
awesome.
7-8 years ago. So still in contact to this day.
That's very cool. So in high school for football, what position did you play in football?
Running back and then slot receiver in high school.
Okay, and Coach Dryer was your coach?
Yep. So he had me. So he got here my 7th grade year, and then brought us all the way up through senior year. Then when our senior year finished in 2014, he left and took the Oak Hills job. So I had him all the way through junior high to high school.
So when you were running back for him, I mean, I know that he's well known now for throwing it about 87 times a game. But I mean, did you get the ball much as a running back, or
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. So it was, I was, we were the guys where we just wanted to win. I didn't care if I got the ball five
Right.
times or times. I mean, we won games. We made the playoffs, undefeated seasons. Yeah, I got the ball. But I think how Coach Dreyer, kind of built us was on just be unselfish, man. Just play for your team, play for the teammates, and we did run the ball just a little bit in school. I will say it was kind of funny. So his first year at Anderson, we had Kyle Blaha and Jay Bolton, the starting quarterback. So first year, I think we were playing. Who was our opening game? It was Bishop Fenwick was our opening game, and we're running the ball like 20 times a game, 22 times a game. And so I actually lived with Evan when I was at Anderson, throughout the week and on the weekends. So we'd always have the joke like, man, are you feeling okay? You ran it 6 times this drive. I still give him grief to this day. He definitely, I would say he runs the ball more than he did here. Kyle was a stud, man. You got Jay behind, and it's one of those where I still remember the headsets like, hey, you feeling all right? You ran the ball 6 times. We ran the ball more times this game than we had past. Are you feeling okay? So he's still the crazy dude. Hey, we're gonna chuck it deep. We're gonna go for it in the fourth. He's so unpredictable, and I think that's what makes him a great coach.
Yeah, totally agree with that one.
Well, so my question on the Evan part is, before he got to Western Brown, and you guys had success obviously underneath him, but what was the program like before he got there?
So when he got there, they just came off a 10-0 season.
Wow.
And Coach Sizer left to take I think the Wilmington College linebacker's job.
Okay.
So he came in and they ran the triple option wing T. So he switched it up to the spread. I think his first year, our 7th grade year, was like, I think we went 4-6, and then back to back. So 8th grade they went 6-4. Freshman year we went 6-4, 8-2. Then it was 10-1 and 9-2. So got the spread going, and he had it rolling. But when he took over, he definitely had that class that graduated had 25, 26 seniors. So he lost all the starters and had to build it back up. But he did a phenomenal job taking a program from the triple wing T to his taste of the spread, and ever since he's been a run and gun guy and has just done a great job.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's talk about that. Going back to the coaching at Anderson, you said you had your two years basically removed from your days as playing to being an assistant coach at Anderson, and like we said, ironically, it's for Coach Dreyer. Talk about how that progressed, and I know when I played, I was kind of like you. I was 1 year removed from playing my playing days, and I coached under Coach Soriano for 1 year, and it was just all these guys. I played with these guys. So was that kind of just talk a little bit how that whole thing went, and then coaching some of these guys that are close to your age.
So Dan, this is actually what's even crazier. So I graduated high school in 15. Evan was at Oak Hills in 15. In 16, he got the Anderson job, and I was playing at Claremont and coaching football at Anderson while I was playing college baseball.
What?
It
fall ball.
It was I did the fall ball stuff. Go to practice, leave, go to fall ball. Lift weights with at Anderson with the kids, kind of get in shape before the season, and then really I wasn't there all spring, but as soon as season ended, I was back with them. So I tried to do it to where, and this is crazy, tried to go in the morning workouts, go to school, go to practice, and repeat just every day. And that's just what I did. I mean, it was kind of like the GA in college, but you did it in high school. I think being 18 years old, fresh out of high school, 19 years old, the biggest thing I had to do was try to really earn the respect of the kids, because you're a 19-year-old. Let's be real, a 19-year-old kid going in trying to teach guys that are younger than you. And luckily I had a brother. His 3 years younger than me. He was 16 at the time. He was playing at Western, and just earn the respect, showing up, and grinding with those guys and just showing them that you genuinely care. And you're there to make them better. And I think that's the biggest thing is earning the respect early, and building the relationships with the kids. And that's kind of what I tried to do and did it at Anderson. I think I did a really good job was building relationships with the kids. And I'm a young guy. At that time I was still going through situations those kids go through on a daily basis. I mean, being 19 years old, they're 17, 18, 16 years old. I mean, I still remember, Jay Volpenheim was 17 years old and I'm 19. So it was tough. You had, the class with, Austin Watt and Dylan Browning, our first year there, Dylan Browning and Nate Wilkins were seniors. So, those guys were 18 and it's just, you got to earn the respect and put in the time and the effort and, build relationships with those guys, get to know them. And that's really what I had to do early on with the crazy schedule that I was doing.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing too is like after that year, I think, correct me if I'm right or wrong on this. Then the next year, I believe you were head coach of the freshmen for 2 years.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
so it's really crazy for me to, 1 year as an assistant, you're already going to be the head coach of I mean, that had to, like you said, you obviously built the respect enough from the coaches that they put you in charge of the freshmen. And talk a little bit about that of now being the guy in charge of the freshman team. Was that a big change for you too?
Yeah, it was definitely a big change because you think coaching is just all coaching, right? So you got to deal, you have parents, you have to do the equipment, you have to make
Yep.
sure you do the head count on the bus, the paperwork, you got your physicals done, final form. So, and I think that's what Evan did a really really good job of was he wasn't going to do it all for me. So I would we would have a conversation. Hey, here's my weekly update. I send every week. You can use that stuff, but make sure you put the right times and put your own flavor to it. So how to send the weekly updates out to learn how to communicate with the parents, communicate with the kids, how to create a practice script, and the whole 9 yards. And that was the biggest thing was that I didn't realize early on was I thought you just had to show up, coach really hard, and you went on about your day. And then you get the head freshman job, and the head freshman job is huge for for the future, because those guys are coming into high school at 13, 14 years old, scared to death, and we're practicing with Evan.
Right.
So that was one thing we always did at Western was freshmen always practice with the varsity guys. Now the freshman won't go against the senior, but they're in the same drills as those guys.
Right.
And that's kind of what we did when I was there. Like, hey, Evan, we have to get these guys around the old guys, so they mesh and they learn from the old guys and build that relationship. And I think that's where the program really really took off in Evan's second year when we were there. Was we had everybody practicing together. So now freshmen are getting coached by and I still believe this to this day. Matt Standard is the best O-line coach in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
100% hands down. Matt Standard is a phenomenal O-line coach. Like mad respect for Standard. Like I love Standard. He helped me out a ton when I was there. And you get coached by the crazy Evan Dreyer. I mean, it's seeing around. And I will say, like, we had a great staff.
You did.
We did.
You had
We had
Stu.
5 or 6 guys now. Our head coach, we had Stu, Brian Pitzer, Nick Schmidt, Jeremy Flug. We had a
what was that guy's name? That's at was it Dukes? Was he with you then?
Chris Dukes. Yeah, Chris Dukes and Dwayne Stanford, 2 Division I athletes at Dukes of Youngstown. And Dwayne played at Oregon. So but just being able to learn from those guys, and Evan definitely, I would say, put me through the ringer at first. Definitely high stress, kind of fed me to the wolves, but it's one of those, you're either going to float or you're going to sink. So you got to figure it out, and you got questions you ask. So, just got to figure it out for that first year. Then once that first year's under my belt, it was all right. Now I know what I'm doing for going into year 2 for the future.
Yeah, I know a lot of the guys. Real quick, Steve. I know a lot of the guys really like. I know that they follow. A lot of the like myself, other guys remember you at Anderson. Even the parents. I know that I see they interact with you a lot because of what you did your time at Anderson, and they absolutely loved you at Anderson, and they still follow you. And I know that I see it a lot on Twitter. So I know the community here at Anderson absolutely loved your time, even though it was a short time. But I know that the kids and the parents and everything loved you when you were here.
Oh, absolutely, man. I still talk to a lot of the kids. I mean, I still get texts from a lot of them. Hey, good luck today, coach.
Yeah.
And you know,
Awesome.
every now and then we'll go out and we'll say, hey, let's go get some dinner. I mean,
Yeah.
so anyway, and it's just one of those, the Snapchat thing is big still.
Yeah.
Snapchatting those guys, texting them. So still got really, really good relations with a lot of them.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Wow. So I want to go to your fast track here with being at Anderson and getting the opportunity. I mean, which some people would say a lifetime, to not only be a head coach, and especially at a young age, but be a head coach at your alma mater at Western Brown. So walk us through that process on how that all came about, because I'm sure your head was spinning at some point, and I'm sure you were floating after the whole process went through, and you're like, I got the job. So tell us how all that worked.
So we kind of had a feeling the job was going to open up in 2020 after the 19 season going into 2020 to COVID. So we kind of knew it was going to be. We kind of had a hunch it was going to be open, and then it came open. And I still remember. It's funny. So Evan and my dad and I met at the varsity down in Anderson, and we were talking, and I was just like, Evan was like, hey man, go interview for it. Start interviewing for some jobs to get the experience. That was my first interview I ever had. And we sat down. I said, man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I really don't. Like, how do I know if I'm ready? And I still remember this day. Evan looked right at me and said, Nick, I never knew if I was ready to take a job. And I sat there and thought about it. I'm like, okay. I said, so you were young, you were 23. I just turned 20. I just turned 21, going to be 22. How do you know you're ready? He's like, I didn't. You never know if you're ready until you go do the job. And I kind of, sat back and looked at it and said, wow, let's say I go out here and, so in 2 years, we're really, really bad. I lose the job. I can always come back to Anderson. I always have that in my back pocket as an extra card. And, I kind of just went with that and ran with it. And it's definitely a lot more, I would say, a little bit more pressure being an alum, because
absolutely,
I still remember growing up and still in Anderson, like, oh my gosh, Western Brown's so far out there, middle of the cornfield, a bunch of hillbillies. I mean, that's just how it is. It's a little different way of life out here.
Right.
We don't have like the Anderson Town Center. We don't really have that. It's just fields, and then there's your school. So and a couple restaurants, they just put in a roundabout, so that was huge for us.
Hey Nick, I remember when they put in there was McDonald's there or something, one restaurant there, because my cousin lives off of 68, upper 5 Mile Road. He lives over, and I remember at the one time there wasn't much there, and then all of a sudden you start getting more and more and more stuff, and it's because the area grew so much.
Yeah, it's starting to grow. I mean, now they're building, the neighborhood I just, we built right before COVID. I think there was 250 houses in here, and they're putting another, I think, 350 up the street. So it's starting going up. So I mean, we're growing, definitely. So definitely excited for that. But kind of back to the alum, it's definitely more pressure. Because you play here, you have this success as a player, and you're getting groomed by, I truly believe, one of the best coaches in the state of Ohio. And Evan is more. For me, he's more than just my boss. I had so much respect for Evan growing up in high school. And he got me into playing. And how to say it, he was more than a coach. He was a father. He was a father figure to me. Him and Megan. I still text Megan on Mother's Day, say, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Like, I stayed there for 4 years. So, I've seen EJ and Carmen grow up. I saw Carmen at my wedding, and she's almost as tall as me. And it's like, what? I mean, where's time gone?
Oh, yeah.
That family is family. And, our families are really tight. We're really close. Evan and I still talk every day. I literally I texted him today and said, hey, we're really, really young. When we were this age, what's the biggest advice you got? So that's the biggest thing, is just asking questions.
Right.
Here's the thing: someone could give you the best advice, but it might not work for you. But just that little piece works for you. And so I always pick his brain, ask questions, and he's more than a coach to me. He's my second father down deep end. That's my second family for sure.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome. So when you went through the interview process, I mean, at what point did you feel like that, you had a good shot at it?
So I was the first interview, and I felt really, really good going in. I had my booklets. I had, I was ready to go, and I still remember our athletic director. So I had these 2 binders. It was like a program book. I mean, it was thick. It was probably 120 pages, laid out month by month, day by day, and then just a little basic one. I spent like $650 on these interview booklets.
You're
So
prepared.
we get ready to get done with the interview, and I'm like, he's like, Tim was like, you got anything else? And I hand these out, and color, binded, plastic front, plastic back, cover. He goes, man, what business did you keep in? What company do you keep in business? And I'm like, well, that's either really good or really bad. So, and I, kind of walking out of there, I kind of knew it was my job, and I knew when it was open, it was kind of mine to lose. And I still remember, they did call Evan and ask if they thought I was ready. Evan, put in, I'm sure, a good word for him. But that's what a lot of people don't understand is, oh, I think I just clicked off of this.
No, you're on.
Can you still?
You're still on.
Oh, my screen went really, really small. Let's see here. Hold on.
Yeah, we still got you.
I clicked the wrong button, but
Can you see
I
us?
don't know what it was. Yeah, I can still see it. I don't know what it is, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, I know the interview process was definitely kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
Because it was my first interview. I was nervous, I will say, but walking out, I felt really, really good. I still remember going home to my parents, and she was my fiance at the time. We'd been dating for 7, 8 years, so
Yeah.
I mean, basically already married. And talking and saying, I think I got this. And I still remember, I was sitting at the Roses with my dad and my brother, and I get a call from the principal, Heather Cooper, and says, "Hey, can you come in? This is like 6:30 at night. Can you come in? We want to talk to you." And my dad's like, that means you're getting the job. My dad, I guess, kind of already knew, because word gets out here really, really quick.
Oh yeah.
I go in and I get offered the job, and our AD said, and this is crazy, and everyone says this, and I don't know if it's true or not, that I interviewed, and our AD said he literally closed his eyes and it sounded like he was talking to Evan Dreyer again. And I'm like, no way, like, stop, like, that's Evan, I'm Nick, like, no. So I guess people say because he's coached me forever,
Right.
coached together, that we have a lot of like tendencies that are alike. I don't know, like, so so after that, I felt really good going in, and then getting the job was just, I still remember calling Evan and said, "Hey, I got the job," and he said, "Yeah, I already know." So I guess they called him first. Yeah, so they so whatever. So finished out my, we didn't say anything. I finished out my day. I think I interviewed on Tuesday, went to weights Wednesday, went to weights Thursday morning at Anderson. At the end, Evan told the kids, and the rest was history. And
That's awesome.
you don't really see the impact you had on kids until you kind of leave. Definitely some tears were shed.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah.
Had a great time in Anderson. Love the kids there. And that's a place that's always home. That's always home for me. So
Yeah,
very happy with my time down there.
I tell you what, was kind of cool to see you too at the I saw you at the playoff game when we weren't allowed to do we were not allowed to do the game, and we saw you there. So it was awesome to see you, to come back and obviously be around and supporting that. So that was really cool. And I know everybody was seeing you.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to the regional finals game. I mean, we lost the week before. So went and watched that game and met up with Evan and the kids, and saw you guys, saw Newt, saw April, the kid. I mean, it was phenomenal.
It was.
Even after the loss, still talking to the kids, you see the impact you had on them, and it makes you feel good. And a lot of people, I'm 26, and a lot of people say I live like I'm 40. So definitely, a lot of people say I'm older than what my age is. I try to be, Heck, I just had my first gray hair the other day in my beard, so
Oh,
it's
first grade hair.
it's been very stressful this
That's
week.
it. That's it.
Trying to find some jobs to win. So,
That's
but
awesome.
Well, speaking of stressful, so I just got one more question for you, and I want to go back to after you got the job at Western Brown, and like you said, you're going back home, and still young guy, and going in. Tell us about that first meeting you had with the team, walking in, and you're like, because you're not looking over your shoulder. Evan's not there,
Yeah.
and this is your gig, and you're the man now. So talk to us about how that feeling was and how that experience went for you.
yeah, so I got a brother who was 16. So coming in when I got the job, my youngest brother was going to be a freshman.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I already knew a lot of these kids because I've grown up with them.
Right.
And my brother, they've been over at the house. Half of them, me and my older brother, beat them up. Like
Yeah.
we messed, we messed with them. We tortured them. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, being the older brother, you kind of, you guys know how it is. You got to set them in their
Yep.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to set the dominance at your house. Like,
Yeah.
so I knew a lot of the kids coming in, and they were off a 2 and 8 year, and they were just defeated. Like, and it's like, guys, like we've always had success. This is how success is going to happen. And I still remember sitting in the meeting, assembling my staff. I got the job. That Tuesday, I'm hiring people that day. Like I already hired our D coordinator, got our O-line coach back, and fit all the pieces together. And they're all alumni of some sort or some tie to Western Brown. And I think that's the biggest thing is you have to bring people back that know about that culture, the winning culture.
Right. Yep.
You have to set your people up with successful people outside of here, and brought them back that might not have been here. So I got our D coordinator Cody Wilson. So it's funny. So Cody and I are the same age, played together. He was the assistant D line coach at West Claremont. So when I was head JV coach, he was the D coordinator, and we went up against each other in JV. It was awesome. So we're talking smack, and so I'm bringing all these alumni back into the program, and just telling the kids like, hey, I don't care what happened last year. I don't care if you played O-line, D-line, quarterback, running back. Like this is a new slate. What happened last year is over with. We're going to get to work tomorrow. Like this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And then 2 weeks in, we get shut down for COVID.
Oh.
So now we have to do Zoom meetings, right? So we're trying to sitting in my office, we're trying to install our offense on Zoom, right? Trying to install defense on Zoom. We can't go out. So it was like the greatest time to be first year head coach, but the worst at the same time.
Right. God.
So, but first meeting, we had it in February. So I got board approved February 10th, which was actually on my wife's birthday. So I got board approved there. So kind of went out and celebrated that and her birthday. And then, we were working out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks max, and we get shut down. So we already had kind of built that blue collar mentality, into the weight room because, I'm a firm believer in weight room wins games. You have to be strong, you have to be physical. And that's kind of where we started. I told them these games are going to be won in the weight room, grinding with your brothers. And that's how we started off the meeting, and set the rules. And this is what the expectations that you have. And if you don't fall in, then you can't be a part of the program. Kind of cleaning slate, cleaning things up, what was the biggest thing that we had to do in that first meeting.
Yeah, that's it's absolutely incredible that you had to go through that on a COVID year too to start off. Your career. I mean, that's just nuts.
Yeah, and then first practice you have, you have to say 6 feet apart. So my first practice of the summer, we get the official. You're practicing, and we did stretching lines, and kids are 5 yards apart, which we did anyway. So I guess someone drove by and called the health department. I said, they're so far up, they're on top of each other. And I'm like, I tell our AD, like, listen, we're on the hashes, we're on the numbers, hash is middle, like we're 5 yards apart, or more. So, and it was just that time, that we were in, it was just crazy. It's like, gosh, you couldn't high five kids. I still remember our first game. We scored the
Fake,
first
yeah.
touchdown. I go up and chest bump the kid because I coach with energy. I
Right.
coach with the juice, and
Right.
chest bump a kid, and we get docked on the reports at the end of the game by the health department that coach chest bumped the kid, can't do that.
Oh my God.
Like, so like our AD was like, hey, you can't do that. Like one game,
Oh,
it was off. Like one game, our chain gang guy high fived the kid, and the health department saw it and wrote it down and like docked him. Like
Oh my
it was
God.
crazy. Like it was crazy. Our best, one of our best receivers, had to miss a game because his mom had COVID. He tested negative, and the whole family, but because he was around her, he had to quarantine for those 7 days.
Yeah.
So that was on a Friday morning before a game.
neat.
You had prepped
Yeah.
and
So
all
it's
that.
like, all right, so now what do you do? And
Yeah.
you had to fight, you had to stay 5 yards apart. So we told our kids, like, if you were actively playing, you didn't have to wear your mask. So we're like, all right, you're on the sideline, put your helmet on. Well, then if you're not actively playing, you have to have your mask on under your helmet. So
Oh,
like it was the craziest. It was the
Yeah.
yes, it
craziest.
was all crazy. Yeah.
Like, and I had a guy tell me, like, if you made it through COVID as a head coach and it's your first year, you're gonna be all right. Like,
Yep.
like that's the worst year possible. Like everything's smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, really.
And it's been fun. Like it has. Just that first year in COVID year. You only play league games, and like it's like, man, like is this how it's gonna be forever? Because if this is how it's gonna be, like I don't know if I want to be a head coach. Like I want to be able to coach with the energy and build that camaraderie between the kids.
Yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, just be ourselves. But no, you couldn't do that the first year, so it was definitely a tough year. But we made it work, and kind of got to where we are now.
Yeah, I bet. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about making it work because you've got a 27-8 record the last 3 years. Really, honestly, an incredible accomplishment early in your
Awesome.
coaching career. And you bring Dryer back. Obviously, he's had a big influence, but I think a lot of it too, the early success. You've also got to give a lot of credit to the kids that you've coached.
Yeah, and I will say, going in, we had, we started a lot of sophomores my first year, so 5-3 the first year, and it was really funny. So our first game we won 62-6, and like you would have thought we won the Super Bowl. Like never won like that before in like 6 years or whatever it was, because
Right.
I think when we took over, like they'd won like, I forget what it was, like 10 games in like 4 years or whatever it was, or
Yeah.
12. It was something like crazy. And so like we went 62-6, and like we head back to the locker room. Like our kids are like, we won the Super Bowl, and we're like, me and Walsh look at each other like, man, this is normal. Like, this is like, why would we celebrate like this? That's how it should be.
Right.
And that was kind of like, how we had it embedded into our kids is, that senior class, I felt so bad for them. Their senior season got cut short. We had some really, really good, a good senior class, who had never, won before in their 4 years or 3 years. So our goal was to get them out as winners. We played a lot of sophomores. And so those guys had played through the COVID year, regional finals, into the semis last year. So, we played a lot of sophomores, and, they had a ton of experience. I don't think we had anyone in the state who had more experience than us that we played.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're going through again this year. We're going to play a lot of sophomores. Senior class is a little smaller. Solid junior class. But we've had some really, really good kids come through here, and even when we were in school, we've always had really good athletes come through here. It's just a matter of getting them in the right spots to succeed. That's what we try to do is put kids in the spots where they're going to succeed and be successful on a Friday night.
It's awesome.
Well, definitely been very successful, and we'll get into a little bit later on with your teams that you had. But you're obviously a coaching disciple of Coach Dryer. It's a really incredible, exciting offense. I love being a part of those games on Friday night. Talk about why that offense has been so successful, not only for you, but also Coach Dryer.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it puts defenses in binds. Like, you might say, hey, I'm going to go cover this, but you're always running something else under this that ties in together, whether it's, a little detail thing, or, you might run a play, but you're a pass play, but you're also running a run play to the other line. Like it, so if you choose this, it's like a double-edged sword. Pick your poison. Right. And like with him, like he's created a phenomenal system. And I've been lucky enough to be in it as a player and then coaching it and then kind of putting my own taste into it. So, the offense is built to where, it's unpredictable. Like, all right, well, now what's coming next? You always have the defensive, staff on their toes because, all right, well, we might, all right, they're going to run this. Well, no, now it's the complete opposite of what we expect, and nothing is really ever the same. Like, yes, we have our basic 10 plays that we master, and we can go with those 10, but you're always trying to add stuff to where there's always some guy that is scouting us, and you might run this one time in a game, but that poor guy has to go scout that, and they have to go through it in the binder. So like there might be stuff we run one game versus a team, and you don't see it for 9 weeks.
Right.
Like, no, I think that's the greatest thing about the offense, and what Evan has done is it's so unpredictable. It puts you in binds, and when you're clicking, the offense is clicking, the receivers are clicking, the time is clicking, like it's hard to stop. And Evans averaged a lot of points. We've averaged a lot of points in this system, and it's kind of just you always have to adjust to what people are going to do against you. So we're always finding new ways to up that, because after a while people are going to kind of pick up on you, but what's the other way where we can run the same play, but at a different angle or flip some stuff. So that's the cool thing about it is it's always kind of a double-edged sword, and it's very, very hard to stop. And you're always on your toes because you never know what's coming next.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing, especially with Evan. Like that dude is nuts. Like we run the ball. I will say, like we run the ball a little bit more than Evan. We're about 50-50. I know he's about 95-5, but
I agree.
but pass ratio. But so it's just what makes it hard is you kind of never know what's coming next, and you're always on your toes as a defensive staff, and that kind of leads into the players. It's like, all right, coach, like what's coming next? Like, we don't know what next just hit us. Like we're down 21-0, 28-7 right off the rip. So definitely stressful for some defenses that we go against.
Definitely
speaking like a veteran, Danny. He's speaking like a veteran.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been around long enough. He knows what's going on.
He is 40 years old.
Yeah, he is. Got that gray hair.
I know the gray hair. I go to bed by 9 every night, 9:15. So everybody makes fun of me. So it is what it is. Whatever.
I got a question about football. Like in other sports, all the team sports and all the positions are so important. But in football, and my only reference is the current, like the Bengals with Joe Burrow and how critical he is, and with your offense and coming off of Dryer, but your own spin on it. Seems like quarterback is such an important position, and you had an unbelievable quarterback in Drew Novak that was successful, and I'm sure it was largely because of him, but a huge part was because of you. And how important is the quarterback position specifically in your offense?
Yeah, it's really important. Like you need a guy that is athletic enough to run the ball. If he can get 6 or 7 yards, it's great. You look at a guy like David Thompson, who played for us in Anderson. Like he wasn't like, he's a true pocket passer, but like that kid could run. He was 6'5", 6'4", and he could go get 5 or 6 yards and need him to run. So like, I think having a guy who's athletic enough to do both, that's the big thing, and smart enough to do both. And that's the biggest thing is you got to be patient in the offense. Is take the freebies, take what they give us. If and I know a lot of OCs that are not patient enough to take 5 yards at a time, 4 yards at a time. They always want to take the deep shot and 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Like get us to that 4th and 5, 4th and 4. Be patient, take the freebies, and I think that's what. Drew did a really, really good job of, and our guy now, Brady Sutton's doing a great job of, is, taking the freebies, taking what the defense gives us. We'll take 5, 6, 7 yards at a time, all day of the week. Eventually those guys are going to come up. We're going to be able to hit them over top. So I think just having a level-headed kid, smart kid, that wants to be, it's stressful, but you want to be in that spotlight. You want to be that next guy in this offense, to be the star.
Yeah. And it seems like, to your point, is that when you're playing up tempo, you don't need to go for the home run right away, because you're eventually going to wear the other team out, with whether it be a no huddle and the passing and stuff like that, that by fourth quarter, they're dragging, and you're going to add, 2 or 3 more touchdowns on the board.
Yeah, and I think that's the greatest thing is, tempo, tempo and teams, and, having our guys in shape to where they can go. We want to get snapped up 8, 9, 10 seconds, just go, 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 go. There would be times where we'll catch the defense into some binds, and, they're still trying to get the play call in when we're running another play. And it's, Evan said it best when he's out here, like we want to be like it's basketball on grass. Go, 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 go. 1,000 miles an hour.
There you go.
So,
I like it.
That's all. So let's get into this year's team. You're coming off an unbelievable year at 11-2, another good run in the playoffs. Let's talk about some of you obviously got to place Drew. Talk about your quarterback now and some of your strengths and weaknesses of this year's team.
Yeah, we're going to be, we return some guys. We still have one of our all-state receivers coming back, Isaiah Smith, for us. He'll be a senior.
Nice.
We got Matt Osborne coming back, who's actually my little brother, the baby brother of the family.
Nice.
He's our tight end, big slot guy, the gritty guy that that blocks a lot and gets rewarded every now and then. So, kind of the same spot that Amadeus Jones played.
Yes.
Some Ross Parrish, those type of guys. So that's what we use him for that. And we got a lot of sophomores. The senior class is small. There's only 7 of them. So we're gonna be very, very young. And we're getting better. From the time we started in the last week in May, when we had our first 2 official practices, because you were allowed now, because you get 14 or whatever it is. We've improved night and day from day 1 to now, and we're going to continue to get better with reps, just because these sophomores, there's a lot of we looked at today, we had 2 seniors on the offense side. Isaiah was out today with some ankle problems, so set him out. So we had 2 seniors in there, and we were looking at it like, all right, that's 1 senior lineman, junior, freshman, sophomore. Receivers were freshman, junior, sophomore. Like running backs gonna be a sophomore. And same thing on the defense. We have two senior defensive linemen. Linebackers were sophomores. The whole back end sophomores. We got 1 senior DB. So it's going to take some time to gel. It's going to take some time to mesh. And it reminds me of year 1 all over again, where we played a lot of sophomores. And when we hit that year 2 with this group, year 3 is where we really took off.
Yep.
And I think this class, the sophomore class, is probably the most athletic class that we've had since we've been here. They're in the freshman class incoming. A lot of them are big lineman guys, and their line is going to be really, really good. And that 8th grade class, that's now 8th graders, when they come up after the fall and next year, those guys are all skilled guys. So it's going to be a good experience for those guys. So we got the future. Is looking really, really bright for us. And our sophomore class is really good. Our junior class is solid. Senior class has got some key pieces that have played for 3 years with us. You got Austin Huff, 3-year starter for us, and then Hunter McKenzie is back this year. Who, he beat cancer, so he's back this year. He's
great.
He's officially back. He's practicing full time with us now for his senior year.
God, that's awesome.
So it's it's a really, really good time. Especially for him.
Right.
I'm excited. He's looked really, really good. This summer for us, had a great off season. So I'm excited for him. He missed the whole year, year and a half, played a little bit last year towards the end, but finally going to get his time. He would have played last year for us as a junior.
Yeah.
That's great.
So overall, overall, just young, man. We're going to be really, really young. We're going to be competitive. Our non-conference, the gauntlet.
I was going to ask you, what's your schedule look like?
Tough.
So we open up with Hill. Yeah, it's tough, especially non-conference. So we open up at Hillsboro, and then we're at home versus Washington Courthouse, and then we go to London, and then back home versus Jackson, and then back versus Miami Trace, and then we kick off league play. So our first 5 weeks are tough. They are. Then heading into league play, we open up. We got Batavia, New Richmond, and then I think we go Goshen, Massey, Wilmington. So
You got
our
Clint Massey
schedules.
too, don't you?
Yep. Clint Massey's good is week 8 this year for
God,
us at Massey.
that's
So we
tough.
got. And I think our schedule, 8 of the 10 teams were playoff teams,
Yep.
and I think 5 of the 8 won at least one game in the playoffs for next year. So
Man,
Wow.
that's tough
it's
to
gonna be a
come
tough
up with
one.
a young group.
Yep. So we want our sophomores to get the experience and
Big experience. Yep.
be battle tested when we head into league play and in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
and so I'm excited to see it. I know our staff is, and it's kind of what I told our staff, and told our kids this. Like last year, I think was really, really hard to coach because like you knew our kids. We had a really good group of kids. We had a great nucleus of kids, and like it was almost like at times you were playing not to lose. Like if you didn't score, you didn't win by 40, like it was a disappointment.
Right.
Like this year, like this year, people don't expect much from us because we graduated all these guys.
Right.
Well, we're going to be a young group. We're going to be excited to play and, let the chips fall where they go. So, it's just, proving that we belong. That's the biggest thing for this year.
Yeah. That's cool. And Danny, you wanted to bring up about golf outing, right?
Yeah, I do. So that's something that Anderson, that I started way back in the day with Jeff Giesing, is our golf outing that we do to raise money for the football program. And I know I golfed in one, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. It might have been, your first or second year. I can't remember, but I golfed in one.
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. And so talk about, I know your golf outing's coming up. Talk a little bit about that, where it's at, and when the date is.
Yeah, so July 8th, 1:30 at Friendly Meadows is our golf outing. Registration at 12:30. So right now we got 24 teams. We can take 34. So
That's
it's
awesome.
filling up fast. Whole sponsors. We should have right around 90 whole sponsors. So we doubled it. We doubled that from last year. I think last year we had 54, so we almost doubled it. So we'll have right about 90 whole sponsors for July 8th. So we're excited for it, and everything keeps growing. I mean, it's a fun time, to be out here right now and leading your alma mater. It's special,
Absolutely.
but definitely has the stress that goes along with it. You got that extra chip on your shoulder. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, that was I went out there with my cousin, JP Green, played at Western Brown, and I went out there with him, and just I think it was 1 year when I actually had a free weekend, I think. And it was I think the night before it poured, and
yes,
the course was a little wet, but it was
Yeah.
still a lot of fun, and you had a great turnout for that one too.
Yeah, so it's funny. So JP grew up with my uncles, and my mom knows him. My mom knows JP real well. So,
Really?
so whatever you hear from JP about my uncles, so just don't hold it against me. So they were a wild, they were a wild crew growing up. So
Oh,
definitely-
Yeah. He just had a baby. JP.
Yeah, I
did.
saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he kind of they didn't announce it until after
Yeah.
the baby was born. So
Yeah.
because I saw that, I was like, oh, I didn't know she was pregnant. So
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. So I not only follow you from that, but also JP kind of lets me in on what's going on. He supports our golf outing too, so it's really nice that he does that. But so we got that in. So we're always going to try to wrap this up, and I think it's kind of a cool thing that we try to do. We do it over here in Anderson too, but other coaches. But let's talk about some of your favorite memories. We'll talk about a favorite memory you had, maybe playing in high school, then maybe as a coach, or just so give me some of your favorite. Let's start off with a favorite memory in high school.
Oh, so favorite memory in high school. You want it to be about Evan or just in
You can do
general?
anyone you want. Anyone you want.
We can get one of both. I think
Okay.
the best memory, just being in high school was, just making the state playoffs and making history. We were the first. It was crazy. So my dad's '86 team, they only took the top 4 teams, so they went undefeated and didn't even make the playoffs. So. We were the first team to go undefeated and make the playoffs. So I think that was huge. Kind of set the standard as a player, and it kind of led over to as a coach. And we want to be in the playoffs every year. We want to win, 1 game, 2 games, and continue, our run to the regional finals again. So I think that was the biggest thing was making the state playoffs and building that brotherhood with the guys. So it's kind of cool. Like, and I didn't believe it growing up, is when you graduate, you don't really talk to everyone you went to high school with. Like
Right.
even your closest friends, like, you guys are doing your own thing. Like, so now, you go to games and it's like, oh man, hey, hey, I haven't seen you since we were in high school. Like we played together. Like, how's it going? So like, I think that's the cool memory that football does. It builds that brotherhood that lasts forever.
Yep.
You always have that, and I still, some of my best friends still text me and say, "Hey, coach, good luck tonight." And it's weird. It's like, I mean, don't call me coach. Just call, like, we grew up together, we're the same age. Like, let's say, "Hey, good luck." Like, so, it's cool. I think that's the greatest memory, is the brotherhood that you build with everybody. And I got, Cody Wilson on our staff. We played together, we graduated together. Ryan Fulmer, our D line coach, we played together. He's a year older than us. So, bringing some guys, some alumni back that had success, as players and coaches and in college. I think that's the best memory. I think the best memory of Evan. So Evan is, as we know, he's crazy.
Yeah.
That dude is 1,000 miles an hour, like go. So like, I think the best memory of him. Oh gosh, there's just so many, but I think the best one was like, we were maxing out one day in the weight room. I think it was on bench. Like, we're all juiced up, like we're ready to go. Like, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, this dude takes a full water bottle, opens it up, and just dumps it on us. Like, as we're like benching, so, like we're trying to like max out on bench, and he's like dumping water like face, like it just, I don't know, it just got us like juice.
Fired up.
Like we're like, yeah, man, like this guy's nuts. Like, so that was a pretty good memory of him. So I mean, there's so many of them, man. I could go on and on.
What about coaching?
Coaching wise, I think the best memory, it's actually as an assistant with him, best memory. So as a young guy, you have to put in your time. Like, you get jobs that are terrible. Like, so as a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, he goes, "All right, Nick, I need you to go scout Oklahoma, all their 2-point plays and all their plays inside the red zone that's similar to us and that you like." I'm like, okay. So like, I'm sitting in the office, their game plan. I'm like trying to watch what's happening. I'm like just skipping through YouTube. So I mean, I have this big sheet. Like, I'm like, this dude's never gonna look at it. Like, this is just one of those jobs. Like, I wrote stuff down. Like, I'm, writing it down. So I'm like, I'm gonna make a copy of this and see if he actually like listens to this. So I make a copy of it. Right? I give him the original copy, turn it in. First year we're playing Massey. We run this play action, hit a post over top for touchdown. And he's watching, he calls me the next day. He's like, "Dude, that was really good. Like, where'd you come up with that?" I said, "Do you remember all the jobs you made me do is go to scout Oklahoma?" I said, "It's on that sheet I gave you 4 years ago, or whatever it was." I said, "So I knew you never looked at it. You never looked at it." He's like, "No, I didn't, but it's still over there." Like that was the hilarious. Like, it was hilarious. Like, like I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, "Oh yeah, he'll like this." Hand it to him. All right, great. Puts it in the binder and it's just gone. Like, so I'm like, funny. So after like the second or third time, I started making copies of it. And then, Matt, what's that? I'm like, yeah, Oklahoma, you made me scout them and you never, you probably never looked at it. So I like, you got to put your stripes in, you get put jobs. But no, I think the best memory as a coach right now is all the relationships that I've built with kids over the years at Anderson and now at Western. Like, especially at Western, like now, you come to games, like, we get a whole bunch of alums that come to the games, the sidelines, you get texts, you get messages. So it's cool. Even at Anderson, the kids you coach there for 4 years, they still text you, we follow each other on social media. So I think that's the best thing about coaching is the relationships you build with kids. It lasts forever. And that's just how football is. Like, it's a brotherhood that lasts forever. No matter if you played 1 year, all 4 years, or there's no better feeling than the brotherhood. And I truly believe that a lot of sports can't do that, because it's that grind, it's that gritty, that toughness. And I think football is different than every other sport. And you're in the trenches every day with those guys, and it means more when you grind with those guys for 11 months out of the year. You get a month off, eventually you're either going to love each other or going to hate each other. And, you're going to love each other because, if not, it's going to be a long 11 months with everybody. So I think that's the best memory, build relationships with the kids.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that is. I mean, I think it doesn't matter if you graduated like me in '86 with your dad, or you
Yep.
graduate. The guys now, we all. It doesn't matter the age difference when we all get together. These golf outings, it doesn't matter. They're all the same, like you said. They play together. They know what it's all about, and I think that's. I think it's unique, and I think it's at every high school. I think.
Absolutely. I got guys that it's kind of cool. So dad graduated 86. They got kids that are in high school, and I'm coaching their
Yep.
kid, but their dad played with my dad. So it's really, really cool. It's something special a lot of people don't get to experience. And experience coaching your brother. That's cool too. Is you know, I know my mom and dad are really happy. They come watch son coach, watch him play, and a lot of people don't get to experience that. So definitely a cool feeling. It's going to be a little different after this year when he graduates, and there's only one son there. So it's been special so far, and it's a good time right now at Western Brown for us.
Awesome.
Nick, we really appreciate you taking time. I know you're busy, and I know you're not gonna really have a day off here come soon with everything that's going on with the 7-on-7s, the youth camps, and everything that's going on there. So we really do appreciate you taking the time. And I know you got two guys here, and a lot of people here in Anderson that follow you a lot more than you probably know. They're going to be following you this year, and hopefully, you have continued success. And we'll definitely be watching. And
Absolutely.
Anderson's the number one team in our heart around here, but Western Brown's number two, and so is Madeira and some of the other coaches that we have. That coached here. We
I don't
always
know.
root for you guys.
Stu is now wearing a cowboy hat at practice, I hear. So he might trying to be like Deion Sanders. So
Oh God!
I'll have to get a picture and send it to you. It's
I
hilarious.
can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it on social media. Yeah, so Stu's now wearing a cowboy hat, I heard. So
Oh
I got to
my
get
God.
it's hilarious.
That
I'll
is
send it
great.
to you guys.
Yeah, I need to see that. So again, we really appreciate taking the time to join us, and we'll definitely catch up with you on down the road.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. So for Steve Ellis, Dan Albert, and Nick Osborne, you've been watching Dingo and the Coach here on USPN Sports. We'll catch you guys next week.